Velsura. That time I got sent back in time as a slime, by Lobotomiskii. Chapter 15.2 Best Buddies Day 1. I, the humble storm dragon Veldora, regrettably admit that I have long since forgotten the date. However, it is of no matter, for now. I have a companion. After consuming Shizu, my other self separated her from Ifrit, and sent him to me. He even gave me the important task of making him remember that you know what, A.N. Noticeably, he does not know what. At first, Ifrit was fearful of me, but he soon calmed down, and expressed his confusion. As a great sensei, I made sure that my disciple would understand everything. A.N. No, he did not. Shortly after he arrived, I showed him around the place, including the snack pile, the shelf of manga, and the weird place with the memories. After he became familiar with the surroundings, I invited him to play a game of shogi, which I had discovered by accident through my other self's memories, and we resumed watching my other self through the telepathic screen. And you would not guess what I saw. After absorbing Shizu, my other self morphed into a tall humanoid resembling Shizu, with long blue hair and golden eyes. He observed himself for a while, before his features shifted once again, his long blue hair shortening and changing hue, while his skin became darker. So this is a human form. Almost everyone I know has had a human form, but I was never interested in obtaining one, even though I could have easily done so. In the past, I never saw the use of a smaller, weaker form, but after obtaining the knowledge of the sacred texts, I have come to realize the versatility of the human form. I eagerly anticipate learning these so-called Veldora killing arts. Day 2. Ever since yesterday, Ifrit has been sifting through the memories of my other self. His mood dramatically worsens at some times, so I have insisted that he stops wading through what I can assume to be painful memories. However, he denies, saying that what he is seeing, although painful, is important to him. I'm proud of you, Ifrit. I just hope this development will not impede on your shogi progress. Day 13. Today is the day my other self revealed to me the greatness of the Veldora killing arts. Kua ha ha ha. It was truly magnificent how much he could do with such little power. Ifrit, noticeably, was also quite intrigued by my other self's fighting style, although he seemed slightly irritated. Perhaps that might be the effect of the negative memories he must have begun experiencing for the past few weeks. However, not long after the lesson begun, we were rudely interrupted. The visitation of a mere ogre means to disrupt the precious learning time of the storm dragon, Veldora. As my other self went to resolve the problem at hand, I continued experimenting on creating a human form. However, I had no real grasp on the ins and outs of a human, and I couldn't use mimicry like my other self. As a result, it has been quite difficult for me to visualize a human body. Ifrit's form is vaguely humanoid, so he tried to help me out some, which I was very grateful for. In the end, I managed to create and maintain a human form. Kua ha ha ha. Day 15. Yesterday was incredibly boring, mostly occupied by my other self naming lizardmen, and attending a meeting. The naming was truly painful. I expect a reimbursement paid in snacks. However, I must say, my naming skills are truly impeccable. Ifrit, for the most part, agrees. Today will be more busy, it seems. My other self is traveling to the lizardmen settlement in Sis to recruit warriors to fight an orc lord. If I remember correctly, the previous orc lord appeared a few years before my imprisonment. He was quite strong for mortal standards, but he was but an ant in front of me. The dryads easily dispatched of him. Anyways, Ifrit has finally started to explore the manga stash. Day 16. Drat. Ifrit spent the most of the last day reading manga that I recommended him. However, he seems disappointed in me, or rather, my other self. Somehow, I do not understand. He claims that my naming skill is a farce, but from my perspective, it is truly great. I cannot let this continue. I must educate Ifrit. On another note, my other self has successfully recruited the aid of many warriors in the Jura forest. It seems I cannot underestimate his charisma, as expected of the great storm dragon, Veldora Tempest. Day 20. After recruiting the warriors of Jura and the Ogre clan, now titled by my other self as the Emperor's Guard, my other self has, to my endless chagrin, named all of the Emperor's Guard, and is now making them train for the upcoming battle. Recently, Ifrit has been melancholy. Throughout the last few weeks, he seems to have undergone a major character arc, as described in the scriptures, and he has become more emotional at times. Being the supportive sensei that I am, I have been trying my best to understand Ifrit and comfort him. From what I have gathered, he is regretful that he has had conflict with Shizu, and wishes to leave as soon as possible, so that he can make up for his actions. Day 21. The battle against the orcs had finally started. After the initial volleys of magic, my other self and his warriors charged right into the army of orcs, cutting a path straight through the orcs' numbers. Soon afterwards, my other self engaged in battle with the orc lord, who had evolved into a demon lord seed. While this is nothing in comparison to my power, for my other self, this is a dangerous foe. Thankfully, I was able to defeat the orc lord, after his demon lord evolution forced him into an evolutionary slumber, allowing my other self to consume him. Hua ha ha ha, truly magnificent. After defeating the orc lord, my other self gained a wide array of new skills, as well as a huge upgrade in magicules. If I were to guess, I would say that his magicule capacity increased by around 5 to 6 times after consuming the orc lord. Day 22. This will be my final day with Ifrit here, as well as the final day I will have a partner to play shogi with. My other self has just finished a meeting, in which he promised to unite the Jura forest into an empire. He also promised to name every monster that pledges loyalty to him. When I heard him say that, I almost screamed. This is outrageous. What is worse, he was actively ignoring me. I cannot believe this. Ahem, my other self will soon release Shizu from her stasis, and revive her body using Ifrit. I will truly miss his presence, but if it is for my other self to save Shizu, it is acceptable. Day 23. A day has passed since Ifrit was reincorporated into Shizu's body. While I certainly enjoyed his presence, his absence leaves me some time to ponder by myself. My other self, who arrived into the past through the future. At first, I did not believe such a preposterous thing could be possible, but I soon realized that I was wrong. Myself, in my current state, is incomplete. I am sure of it. After all, my future self has turned out to be a dragon far greater than I. How could I hold myself in high regards after seeing his greatness? I eagerly anticipate the changes that this great storm dragon, Veldora Tempest, will bring to this stagnant world. Chapter 16. Shizu has a crush, and some other boring things like diplomacy. Third POV. In the middle of a dark hall, a round table with 5 seats stands in contrast to the otherwise empty room of the hall. All 5 characters gathered here are indeed high profile, both in power and strength, but one in particular stands out from the rest. Gazel Dwargo, King of Dwarves. His broad frame adorned in shining plated armor majestically contrasts the dark atmosphere of the room, and his piercing eyes sending resounding shivers down the spines of the other members gathered here. Your Majesty, is it true that Majin is the storm dragon? The commander of the Pegasus Knights sweats profusely as he asks this question. Indeed, it is true. Gazel says sternly. Although he has been weakened considerably. Given his identity, I have no doubt that he has grown stronger, but it should be to no extent that I won't be able to best him in a fight. I mean no disrespect, Your Majesty, but may I pose a question? Jane, the elder, speaks in a skeptical tone. The storm dragon is historically known for rampaging, destroying cities and even nations on a whim. It is completely out of character for him to suddenly want peace, much less to start a nation for himself. Unless that slime is not really the storm dragon, and merely an impostor seeking to use the name of Veldora for his own benefit. I have confirmed that that is likely not true. Gazel replies sincerely. My skill, Tyrant, managed to take a small peek into his memories before being expunged, and from them, I have concluded that the Majin is most certainly the storm dragon. As for the sudden change in his nature, it's not impossible for Veldora to have changed his worldview in 300 years of being sealed. With that explanation, Jane nods. Gazel continues. However, it is still up to debate what actions we should take, with or against, Veldora. If he manages to regain his powers in the future, helping him out now might paint ourselves in a good light, gaining us the favor of a true dragon. However, should he turn out to be a hostile and dangerous enemy, we will be forced to apprehend him, and contain him indefinitely. Hearing no complaints from his staff, Gazel finalizes his statement. Then if there is no problem, Dwarf, prepare the Pegasus Knights. I'll be paying the storm dragon a visit. Veldora POV. So, you see, my name is Veldora, Tempest. I metaphorically inhale as I prepare for Shizu to freak out, but she doesn't. Oh wow. I can see why you didn't want to share your name at first. To be named after a rampaging evil dragon must be very unfortunate. How da ahem yes. Indeed. Very. Unfortunate. Grr. If I were not so mature, I would never tolerate such insults. Jay, just don't call me by my actual name in front of anyone, please. After Shizu finishes putting on her clothing, I lead her outside the door. At first, she wobbles a bit, after all her legs haven't been used for weeks, so I help her a bit. Once we make it outside, I begin excitedly introducing Shizu to some of my subordinates, as well as showing her around the town. Rimuru-san. This town is so much bigger than before. You built all of this in just a few weeks? Shizu pants tiredly. Kua ha ha ha, indeed, it is as expected of me. I laugh boisterously as I continue dragging Shizu through the streets. Wait, Rimuru. Slow down. Oh, right, she's probably still recovering, no matter. I jump behind Shizu and pick her up, unfurling my bat wings behind my back, and taking to the skies. Uahhh. What are you doing? Shizu clings tightly onto me as we fly over the city. Is this your first time flying? Of course. How would I be able to fly, stupid Veldora? She pouts in an, admittedly, cute manner. But before she can take to the classic tsundere trope of hitting my chest in frustration, I land onto the ground. Carefully placing Shizu down, I turn to face the city below the hill I had just landed on. The same hill that me and Shizu spoke on that day. Kua ha ha ha. Do you like the view? I grinned at the wonder in Shizu's eyes, gazing down at the town that now covered the entire plain, with a clear river running through it. Yes. It's amazing. She smiles, the first genuine smile I've seen since I met her. Oh, by the way, I activate gluttony, opening up my stomach to retrieve the mask. I probably shouldn't keep this from you. I take the mask and gently place it onto her head in a sideways position, revealing both of her eyes. Veldora-san. Strange. Why is her skin so red? Is Cherry's already acting up? I can't believe this. Are you alright, Shiz? I'm fine. I'm okay. She quickly backs away and covers her face with her hands. I'm just excited about being able to live my life again, especially in such an interesting place. Kua ha ha ha. Well, I'll make sure that you'll enjoy your time here. I grin and give her a thumbs up. Oh, I can't believe I forgot. I should probably thank you for giving me this chance to live a happy life, for showing me kindness, and... My lord. The blue-haired ninja ogre, Sue, leaps out from the shadows. There is a... Could you sigh? Whatever, man. Arg. I cannot believe this. It was supposed to be such a wholesome moment. The ones fabled in the sacred texts where the disillusioned character finally discovers their will to live, only to be ruined by my subordinates again. All right. Sue, what's going on? I speak, trying to hide my irritation. I apologize for interrupting such an important conversation, sir. Maybe you shouldn't interrupt it at all. But a large group of armed aerial forces are approaching from the north. Oh. That does sound terribly important. Ahem, very well. I shall go immediately to confront the problem. Up, and away. Kua ha ha ha. I unfurl my wings again, blasting myself straight up into the sky once again, prepared to take on the threat that faces my empire. Shizupov. Rimuru no, Veldora-san. He's an enigma to me. On one hand, he seems like a playboy, especially with that demeanor of his, and that stunt he pulled with me earlier. I instinctively touch the mask that now rests on top of my head. But he doesn't give off a malicious aura at all. If anything, he seems like a really nice person. And he's also kinda no. What kind of thoughts are you having, Shizu? Well, he's just headed off to somewhere to deal with something. Something tells me I should follow him, but... I look over to the strange blue-haired man, who's been eyeing me with curiosity since Veldora-san left. Excuse me, Mr. Sue, that is my name. Alright. Sue-san, can you help me get to where Rimuru-san is? It's okay if you don't. I almost yell out in shock as I find myself suddenly falling into a darkness, before my vision returns to me. Suddenly, I'm in a totally different location. A clearing. With Veldora, a couple of ogres including Sue, a lizard man named Gabiru, a green-haired lady who I don't recognize, and the Goblin King Rigurd. In the middle of the clearing, the thud of hooves landing onto dirt ground, accompanied by the chinking and clanking of metal armor, signals the arrival of a group of knights atop winged horses. At the helm of the force is an intimidating man, over 2 meters in height, with shoulders as broad as a doorframe, or maybe even more. His demeanor is one of a warrior with experience, who's fought countless battles. It's Gazel Dwargo, king of the dwarves. I've only ever seen King Gazel, and rarely interacted with him. Even though I was a distinguished adventurer, Gazel was, admittedly, in an entirely different league. In fact, I'm quite nervous just being in his presence. Veldora-san, though, doesn't seem so fazed. While everyone else is gripping their weapons, or huge biceps, in Rigurd's case, tightly, Veldora-san simply stands there with his arms crossed, with a brave and handsome expression. Wait. What, handsome? No such thing, Shizu. Rimuru. King Gazel's eyes sweep across the crowd gathered behind Veldora-san, including myself, until it lands onto Veldora. I see you found yourself quite the entourage. You've defeated the Orc Lord, no? Kua ha ha ha, of course, who do you think I am? Veldora boasts proudly, somehow oblivious to the scary scrutinizing gaze of King Gazel. Good question, because that is exactly what I came here to find out. Gazel furrows his eyebrows, and Veldora finally seems to catch onto the gist of the situation. Oh ho, so you are here to challenge me. Veldora grins, his eyes flashing a hue of magenta for a second. Gazel stands his ground, with an air of commanding presence. After a long second of silence, he says, "No, I am not stupid enough to challenge you in a fight. Nor would that be a fair fight, anyways." Veldora's subordinates breathe a collective sigh of relief. They must not have been eagerly anticipating a fight between them and the kingdom foe Dwargon. However, that does lead me to wonder who Veldora-san could be. Could it possibly be that? No, that's impossible. Why would a true dragon, especially the storm dragon, be doing this? It can't be. Instead, I have come here to challenge your character as a leader. The last time we spoke, you told me that you planned to build an empire. No? Then tell me, how do you plan on doing such a thing? Gazel raises an eyebrow at Veldora, whose eyes are glowing more and more of a red-ish hue. HMPH. Do not doubt me on such simple things, of course. I desire to create an empire here, in the Jura forest of all races on monsters, demi-humans, and humans alike. Do you doubt that I can do such a thing? Indeed, I do. You have admirable ideals, but we both know you don't have the power to back it up right now, do you? King Gazel's aura takes on an oppressive quality, making it harder for me to even breathe. Ho ho, I think I do, actually. If you don't think so, then why don't you fight me, and find out? Veldora's eyes are now almost completely magenta instead of their normal gold, and his voice has gained a robotic quality. The two stare at each other, the aura emitted by both now so thick that it is visible. After a long time, Gazel finally backs down. I inhale deeply, my breathing no longer constricted by the painful haki that both Veldora-san and King Gazel were releasing. You see, King Gazel, I know very well the extent of power that the world demands, probably better than you, actually. An old friend once said this to me. Ideals without power is rubbish, and power without ideals is pointless. Do you think that I am rubbish? Under Veldora's gaze, Gazel cracks. He lets out a light chuckle. Well, after seeing how much stronger your aura has become, I don't doubt you anymore. Kua ha ha ha. Very well, now that this is over, let us move on to the feast. Veldora-san. Why can you only ever think of food? Gazel seems to share my unamusement at Veldora's sudden change in demeanor, a feeling that is absolutely not mirrored by Veldora-san's subordinates, who can only be described as excited. Sigh, so this is how it is here, is it? Well, it's certainly not a bad thing, I suppose. After the tense atmosphere dies down, the various members of both parties begin to unwind, starting to engage in conversation. I even saw King Gazel happily talking to an ogre. Hey, Shizu. Eep. I turn around to see Veldora's muscular chest up in my face. You Rimuru. What are you doing here? You're still recovering from your injuries, you shouldn't have been on a potential battlefield. I'm sorry. I quickly bow down and apologize. I'm sorry I made you worried. Oh, no it's. Ahem kua ha ha ha, It's all right, of course. I wouldn't be worried about such things, would I? Kua ha ha ha. Tsunere. I don't even know what that means, but it is somehow a word that comes to mind. Anyways, let's get you back to the city. We still have to introduce you to everyone. He once again picks me up in a bridal carry, without permission. Rimuru, stop doing that without warning. I slap him across the face, hard, a bit too hard. I might have accidentally used my flame powers. As expected, the shock caused Veldora-san to careen into the ground. Oh. Veldora-san, I'm so sorry, are you ALR? Shizu, are you okay? Veldora bursts out of the rubble I was trying to dig him out of with a panicked expression. Yes, I'm okay. Never mind that, I'm so sorry for hitting you. Although, it's kind of cute how he fusses over me and Shizu. Stop thinking of such deranged things. Kua ha ha ha. Veldora-san immediately jumps up and dusts himself off. Veldora Tempest, couldn't possibly be hurt by such measly attacks. Sigh, how childish. At least he's okay. Now, let's actually get you back to the city. He once again picks me up without warning, in bridal fashion. Mind you, and takes off into the sky with me. No. Later that night. Third POV. And with that, the negotiations are complete. Let us move on to the banquet. Veldora boasts with glee, standing up and excitedly prancing over to the exit of the meeting room. #HMPH. That Veldora, he is far too carefree for his own good. King Gazel muses to himself, before standing up and exiting the meeting room, followed by everyone else inside the room. With Veldora taking the lead, the doors of the banquet hall burst open. The chairs of the long table are soon filled up as the various men and women shuffle into their seats. The dwarves, in particular, are both apprehensive and completely salivating at the idea of dishes made by monsters. Shizu, who had already stayed in Tempest for a while beforehand, is less apprehensive and more excited at the new dishes that Veldora's country could have created. However, before the chance came for food, Veldora seemed to remember something important that he had to do. Something that is more important than food, so very very important. Everyone, he stands up quickly, gathering the attention of everyone in the room. Before the banquet starts, I would like to introduce you all to someone. This, he explains, putting his hand on Shizu's shoulder, is Shizu Izawa, a friend of mine. With all eyes on her, Shizu immediately became too flustered to speak properly, and could only muster a small, "Hi, guys," and an awkward chuckle. With that awkward segment, awkwardness mostly due to Veldora, by the way, done, the food finally arrived. I'm not gonna spend time writing a food segment, just imagine something like Night Spider Hotpot or whatever. Maybe I'll come back to write the food stuff someday. As the scent of the food wafts throughout the room, and the food is laid out on the table, many of the dwarves gasp in shock. This! Dwarf exclaims. This level of food, its quality rivals that of the best chefs in Ingrassia. He barely manages to finish speaking, since his hands were already forcing ungodly amounts of meat into his mouth. To have this level of culinary mastery, I may have underestimated your nation, Rimuru Dono. Kua ha ha ha. Always eager to receive praise, Veldora thrusts out his chest with pride. Of course, our chefs are of the greatest quality. The banquet continued into the night, with the conversations only becoming more and more chaotic as the alcohol started setting in. At some point, Shizu got drunk and fell asleep at the table, and had to be carried off by Veldora into her room. In the morning, the Pegasus Knights departed from Tempest, and after only a week, the short-lived excitement of a foreign king staying in the Empire of Monsters has gone away. Or so they thought. Veldora Pov. Even now, I still reminisce of how phenomenal last week's banquet was. I truly have missed Shuna's cooking. Right now, I am once again wandering the streets of my city, looking for something exciting. However, it's just the usual, and nothing really exciting has happened since King Gazel left. For whatever reason, before he left, he began insisting that I call him Senpai, since I had less experience ruling a country, as if only Rimuru and Veldonava have anything important to teach me, the great storm dragon. Kua ha ha ha. In the last few days, Shizu has also gotten more accustomed to life here, and she has become quite beloved by the citizens. Kua ha ha ha. Rimuru, you see, I have saved Shizu. Hash a dash, are you proud? Hash. Whatever, he's probably not watching me now anyways. Seems like I should go back to working on making a printing pre. Warning. Object with enormous magical signature is approaching at high speed. Oh. Milam is coming. I need to get out of here, probably to somewhere without people. I can't let my dear subordinates get hurt. I quickly unfurl my wings and fly off to the forest, hoping to attract Milam away from the city. I land into the forest just in time, as behind me, a shining ball of pink energy descends upon me rapidly. I brace myself as the pink cluster of magicules collides with the ground, forming an immense explosion. Wahahaha! From behind the pillars of smoke, two red eyes gleam. It is me, Demon Lord Milam Nava, the Destroyer. Now tell me, what are you doing here, Veldora?